Hello everybody and welcome to another ASMR video. This is going to be a soft-spoken ASMR video where I'm just going to read a few pages from some of my favorite self-development and well-being books. I wasn't even able to grab all of them because I'm looking at my pile. I already have I think 7 or 8 in front of me, and truly that isn't enough, but for the sake of the duration of this video, we're just gonna work with my starting pile. And before I get started, I just wanted to thank you all and give you all of my appreciation for my last and first ASMR video. I really wasn't expecting to attract some new viewers and subscribers from it, but I did, and I also received the most sweetest and positive feedback and comments from it. So thank you for the love, and I hope to continue to put out ASMR videos that allow you to feel at ease and calm and relaxed. So I'm gonna read to you all, and at first I was thinking I'll do a chapter from each book, but certain books have longer chapters than the others, so I think to keep this video nice and succinct, I should just do several pages from each book. So let's get started. Also, thumbs up if you are enjoying the soft-spoken version of this video versus my whispering. I think I'll alternate, but let me know if it needs to be softer or this is the right level for you. Okay, this is the first book, The Power of Now, A Guide to Spiritual Enlightenment by Eckhart Tolle. Is it Tolle or Tolle? I don't know, and I should. And I think to make it interesting, let's just flip through on a random spot and pick up from there. Okay. Chapter 6, The Inner Body. Being is your deepest self. You spoke earlier about the importance of having deep roots within or inhabiting the body. Can you explain what you meant by that? The body can become a point of access into the realm of being. Let's go into that more deeply now. I'm still not quite sure if I fully understand what you mean by being. Water? What do you mean by that? I don't understand it. This is what a fish would say if it had a human mind. Please stop trying to understand being. You have already had significant glimpses of being, but the mind will always try to squeeze it into a little box and then put a label on it. It cannot be done. It cannot become an object of knowledge. In being, subject and object merge into one. Being can be felt as the ever-present I am that is beyond name and form. To feel and thus to know that you are, and to abide in that deeply rooted state is enlightenment, is the truth that Jesus says will make you free. Free from what? Free from the illusion that you are nothing more than your physical body and your mind. This illusion of the self, as the Buddha calls it, is the core error. Free from fear in its countless disguises as the inevitable consequences of that illusion. The fear that is your constant tormentor, as long as you derive your sense of self only from this ephemeral and vulnerable form. And free from sin, which is a suffering you unconsciously inflict on yourself and others, as long as this illusionary sense of self governs what you think, say, and do. Look beyond the words. I don't like the word sin. It implies that I'm being judged and found guilty. I can understand that. Over the centuries, many erroneous views and interpretations have accumulated around words such as sin due to ignorance, misunderstanding, or a desire to control. But they contain an essential core of truth. If you are unable to look beyond such interpretations and so cannot recognize the reality to which the word points, then don't use it. Don't get stuck on the level of words. A word is no more than a means to an end. It's an abstraction. Not unlike a significant post, it points beyond itself. The word honey isn't honey. You can study and talk about honey for as long as you like, but you won't really know it until you taste it. Okay, I kind of wasn't expecting the Jesus references and sin to come up because it's been years since I read and finished this book, so don't mind that. Okay, let's move on to the next one. This is a classic. I think this is one of the first self-help books that really served as the catalyst for all the rest that followed. It's called You Are a Badass: How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life by Jen Sincero. Let's flip to something random. Chapter 8. What are you doing here? The big question is whether you are going to be able to say a hearty yes to your adventure. That's a quote from Joseph Campbell, American mythologist, author whose books/ideas influenced the making of Star Wars. Getting clear about what your unique purpose is can be the difference between living a happy, fulfilled life of abundance, choice, and expansiveness, or living in the restrictive veil pen of your own indecision and tired old excuses. A gift, of course, is meant to be given, which is why it's so brutal when we can't figure out what ours is, or when we know what it is, but we're too lame to act on it. Here we have the perfect gift to share with the world, just bursting to be opened, and we keep it sitting there, wrapped tightly in a box, growing old and gathering dust. Oh, the waste, the agony. Meanwhile, the joy of giving someone the perfect gift is unparalleled. We all know how it feels, hopping back and forth from foot to foot, wringing our hands, practically peeing in our pants, begging them to open it. Open it already. Jesus H. Christ, here, let me freaking do it. The power of giving is so strong that the excitement and the good feelings are often greater for the giver than for the receiver, which is why when you find your calling and you design your life in such a way that you can share your gifts with the world on a consistent basis, you feel like a rock star. When we share what we were brought here to give, we are in alignment with our highest, most powerful selves. Most people, however, wander through their lives giving the tasteful candle version of their gifts. You know, they don't show up to the party empty-handed or anything. They present their somewhat flaccid gift to the world, receive a warm hug and an "oh, you shouldn't have" in return, but they don't knock it out of the park. For example, they get a job doing something that they either hate or that's a bit of a yawn but is, okay. It affords them a life that covers the basics as long as they don't go too crazy. They do fun stuff, but not as much as they'd like because they don't have the money, or the time, or the belief that they deserve to. They have little victories here and there. They meet their sales quota and win the 6-day cruise to the Bahamas, or rack up enough miles to go stay with their aunt and see the Olympics, or finally sit down and write an entire song that they may or may not ever record or perform, but they never truly go for it and create a life that really lights them up. They basically big snooze their lives away. Every single person is born with unique and valuable gifts to share with the world. Once we figure out what ours are and decide to live our lives putting them to use, that's when, and only when, the real party begins. Living a life on purpose is available to everyone. So if you're struggling or settling or completely confused about what you're supposed to do with your life, it exists, and so does a life you can't wait to create. You just need to get some clarity first. There are entire books written on finding your calling, some of the best of which I share in the resources section in the back of this book and on my website. But the following are a few of my favorite tips. Keep in mind there's no right way to go about this. Everyone's journey is unique, but we're all trying to get to the same place. The place where we feel happiest, the most alive, and the most like ourselves. Even if you've nailed the perfect career for yourself, read on, because these tips can help you in all areas of your life. Okay, that seems like a good stopping point for that book. The third book we're going to read, The 4 Agreements. Wisdom book by Don Miguel Ruiz. Actually, let's go to where I doggy-eared it before. Let's see what section that was. All of humanity is searching for truth, justice, and beauty. We are on an eternal search for the truth because we only believe in the lies we have stored in our mind. We are searching for justice because in the belief system we have, there is no justice. We search for beauty because it doesn't matter how beautiful a person is. We don't believe that person has beauty. We keep searching and searching when everything is already within us. There is no truth to find. Wherever we turn our heads, all we see is the truth. But with the agreements and beliefs we have stored in our mind, we have no eyes for this truth. We don't see the truth because we are blind. What blinds us are all those false beliefs we have in our mind. We have the need to be right and to make others wrong. We trust what we believe, and our beliefs set us up for suffering. It is as if we live in the middle of a fog that doesn't let us see any further than our own nose. We live in a fog that is not even real. This fog is a dream, your personal dream of life. What you believe, all the concepts you have about what you are, all the agreements you have made with your others, with yourself, and even with God. Your whole mind is a fog, which the Toltecs called a mitote. Your mind is a dream where 1,000 people talk at the same time and nobody understands each other. This is the condition of the human mind, a big mitote. And with that big mitote, you cannot see what you really are. In India, they call the mitote Maya, which means illusion. And it's the personality's notion of I am, everything you believe about yourself and the world. All the concepts and programming you have in your mind are all mitote. We cannot see who we truly are. We cannot see that we are not free. That is why humans resist life. To be alive is the biggest fear humans have. Death is not the biggest fear we have. Our biggest fear is taking the risk to be alive. The risk to be alive and express what we really are. Just being ourselves is the biggest fear of humans. We have learned to live our lives trying to satisfy other people's demands. We have learned to live by other people's points of view because of the fear of not being accepted and of not being good enough for someone else. During the process of domestication, we form an image of what perfection is in order to try to be good enough. We create an image of how we should be in order to be accepted by everybody. We especially try to please the ones who love us, like mom and dad, big brothers and sisters, the priest, and the teacher. Trying to be good enough for them, we create an image of perfection, but we don't fit this image. We create this image, but this image is not real. We are never going to be perfect from this point of view. Never. Not being perfect, we reject ourselves, and the level of self-rejection depends upon how effective the adults were in breaking our integrity. After domestication, it is no longer about being good enough for anybody else. We are not good enough for ourselves because we don't fit with our own image of perfection. We cannot forgive ourselves for not being what we wish to be, or rather what we believe we should be. We cannot forgive ourselves for not being perfect. Not to end it on that note, but let's move on to the next, because we are in a time crunch, especially because my phone keeps telling me that I'm running out of storage. I had to delete like 4 apps just now just to continue recording, so fingers crossed we make it through. This has been one of my recent absolute faves. It's called How to Be Loved by Humble the Poet. Simple truths for going easier on yourself, embracing imperfection, and loving your way to a better life. Okay, let's flip to something random. Chapter 52, Listening is Love. After she signed for her new apartment, she came over and showed me a carefully drawn diagram on her phone of how she was going to lay out her furniture. She was excited. It was her first place of her own. She had done the measurements, found affordable furniture, and now it was time to share that with me. Of course, the first thing I did was criticize the fact that she was going to put a rug by the couch. She had just gotten a puppy, so the last thing she should do, is have a rug before the puppy was fully house trained, right? The enthusiasm drained from her eyes. She put her phone away and said, "I didn't ask you whether I should put down a rug. I just wanted to share something I was excited about." The conversation became the catalyst for our eventual breakup. I'm a shitty listener. I'm a debater, so I listen closely, but only to find holes in an argument. I listen to what people say, but I rarely hear them. Since taking a deeper dive into the idea of listening, I've become more aware of how often I cut other people off or stay quiet waiting for my turn to talk, but not absorbing what they say. We've all complained about not being heard, but rarely do we call ourselves out for not listening. Because I'm not listening as well as I should. I'm not making the connections with others the way I want. Those connections are really important, especially with those we care about. To love is to understand. To understand is to listen. In a world of constant distractions, listening is one of the valuable things we can do to show others how important they are to us. Listening is an art, it's a skill, and most important, it's an act that opens pathways to love. This is profound, but not rocket science. Everyone feels great around a generous listener. It feels amazing when you feel heard because you know you're seen and you matter. When we connect on that level, we feel safe and can further grow. Listening heals. It creates space and shares your presence. Our presence is one of the most important gifts we can give to anyone. Generous listening allows us to experience empathy on an abundant level. When we're really there listening to someone, we get the clearest moment of what it actually feels like to be them, good or bad. The more we listen to someone, the more we'll understand them. The more we understand them, the less we'll judge them. That's the empathy we all want. Being a better listener to others will make us better listeners towards ourselves. Listening to ourselves will make us more self-aware about how we speak to ourselves. Listening to ourselves will help reveal our deepest truths. With all this said, to realize more love in our life, we have to shut the F up and listen much more than we currently do. Highly recommend this on your self-development journey. And just if you want to navigate your intimate relationships in a more healthy and evolved way. Okay, let's keep it moving. There's 3 more books. All right, this one's a classic for the spiritual folks out there. The Untethered Soul, The Journey Beyond Yourself by Michael A. Singer. Let's choose a random spot. Chapter 10, Stealing Freedom for Your Soul. The prerequisite to true freedom is to decide what you do not want to suffer anymore. You must decide that you want to enjoy your life and that there is no reason for stress, inner pain, or fear. Every day we bear a burden that we should not be bearing. We fear that we are not good enough or that we will fail. We experience insecurity, anxiety, and self-consciousness. We fear that people will turn on us, take advantage of us, or stop loving us. All of these things burden us tremendously. As we try to have open and loving relationships, and as we try to succeed and express ourselves, there is an inner weight that we carry. This weight is the fear of experiencing pain, anguish, or sorrow. Every day we are either feeling it or we are protecting ourselves from feeling it. It is such a core influence that we don't even realize how prevalent it is. When Buddha said that all life is suffering, this is what he was referring to. People do not understand how much they are suffering because they have never experienced what it is like to not suffer. To put this into perspective, imagine what it would be like if neither you nor anyone you know has ever been healthy. Everyone has always had major ailments, so acute that they can hardly get out of bed. In this world, nothing gets done that can't be done near the bedside. If that were the case, then people wouldn't know anything different. They would have to use all their energy just to drag their bodies along, and there would be no concept or understanding of health and vitality. That is exactly what is going on with the mental and emotional energies that make up your psyche. Your inner insensitivities expose you to minute to minute constant situation in which you are suffering to one degree or another. You are either trying to stop suffering, controlling your environment to avoid suffering, or worrying about suffering in the future. This state of affairs is so prevalent that you don't see it, just as a fish doesn't see the water. One of my favorite motivational speakers and podcasters, Mel Robbins, this book really did make such a positive impact in my day-to-day. It's called The High Five Habit. Take control of your life with one simple habit. You weren't always like this. Everything I'm about to teach you is already in you. Self-love is your birthright. As a baby, you loved the very sight of yourself. You'd crawl up to a mirror and you wouldn't just high-five yourself. You'd press your face against your reflection and smile and laugh and love on yourself in one wet, sloppy, open-mouthed kiss. And there's so much about you to celebrate. Let's start with how unique and special you are. Your DNA sequence, your fingerprints, your voice, the patterns of your iris, every one of these things is entirely unique and yours alone. How you see the world, the way you laugh, the things you experience, the way you love, it all comes together to create something magical. You are the only you that'll ever exist. Each one of your distinctive gifts and talents is a phenomenon. You need to celebrate that ish. And you are so much stronger than you give yourself credit for. Resilience is hardwired into your DNA. Think about when you learned to crawl as a baby. You didn't try once, then give up. You didn't lay on the floor and gaze morosely at the ceiling and say, well, I guess this is my life. It's time to throw in the towel. I will never crawl. I'll just live here, on this spot, on the rug. No, you tried again. And because you didn't have words, you couldn't tell yourself some sad story about how you just can't do it. You're not good enough, or smart enough, or strong enough. You kept trying, and eventually you pulled yourself across the floor. You're also naturally intelligent. By simply watching the people around you, you figured out how to coo, smile, crawl, scooch, and eventually walk. It didn't matter that you fell an average of 17 times an hour learning to walk. You just kept trying. That tenacity is still in you. And celebration is part of your DNA too. As a kid, every time you succeeded at something thrilling and new, you'd laugh and screech and raise your arms up over your head. If the music would play, you'd shake your booty, wiggle, and jump around. You are perfectly designed to feel loved, resilient, joyous, and celebrated. That's why a stranger's high five feels so damn good. It strikes deep down to the core. It hits the you of you. It reminds you of something you've forgotten, who you really are, and how you are meant to feel. Okay, last but not least, because this video is getting way too long, one of my favorite thinkers and authors, Bell Hooks. Her book is called Communion, The Female Search for Love. I also love her book All About Love, which is kind of the foundation of everything she stands for and writes about. But this one is just also a really special one. Let's Chapter 9, Sisterhood, Love, and Solidarity. Okay. Most women search for love, hoping to find recognition of our value. It may not be that we do not see ourselves as valuable. We simply do not trust our perceptions. When I was a girl, I thought I had marvelous traits. I was perpetually surprised that so much that I believed was grand and delightful in myself was hateful and suspect in the eyes of my parents, especially my mother. Still, she was full of contradictions. One day, my mother might mock my love of reading and threaten to take all the books away. And another day, she might speak with pride about the same passions that had been previously mocked, used to shame and humiliate me. In her book, Life and Death, Unapologetic Writings on the Continuing War Against Woman, Andrea Dworkin describes her mother's telling her often that she loved me, but she did not like me. Women of all races and classes offer testimony of being told this by their mothers. Its impact was to make them feel as though something was deeply wrong about them. Describing her relationship with her mother, Dworkin recalls, she experienced my inner life as a reproach. She thought I was arrogant and especially hated that I valued my own thoughts. When I kept what I was thinking to myself, she thought I was plotting against her. When I told her what I thought, she said I was defiant and some species of bad, evil, nasty, rotten. She often accused me of thinking I was smarter than she. Again and again, I hear testimony from gifted women about their mother's accusation of arrogance. My mother continually berated me for what she had perceived to be my thinking that I was smarter and better than she. Feminist scholarship has helped us to understand that women who suppress their own unique gifts in the interest of being dutiful daughters, wives, and mothers are often filled with rage. Whereas it would seem logical that a woman who feels thwarted in her own development might be thrilled to see her daughter become actualized, All too often, her eroded self-esteem leads to mixed feelings or full-on expressions of competition and rage. At its worst, this mother-daughter warfare may actually lead parents to commit acts of soul murder, wherein they systemically try to destroy a daughter's self-esteem so that her gifts will never be realized. Patriarchal thinking normalizes competition between mothers and daughters, as well as the girl-child's rebellion. Luckily, progressive feminist mothers who have either unlearned cripplingly low self-esteem or who were provident enough to be raised in families where their growth was nurtured are daily raising wonderful daughters without competing with or devaluing them. Their experience stands as direct challenge to any notion that jealousy and competition are naturally present in mother-daughter bonds. In the presence of this group of self-loving girls, our woman's spirit is uplifted. Their personal power is intoxicating and awesome. They exude it like a strong and heady perfume. And it is easy to see how such girlhood power, were it widespread, could easily undermine the conventional sexist social order. One day, these girls will become women who will publicly tell their stories. The memories of supporting, affirming, consistently caring mothers will stand as a counter-narrative, challenging and changing the old images of mother-daughter hatred and conflict. Ugly competition and conflict between mothers and daughters is not simply the outcome of sexist suppression of adult women's growth and self-actualization. Plenty of talented, successful, powerful women compete in unkind and cruel ways with their daughters. Horror stories abound about the relationships between famous mothers and their daughters. Okay, I'm gonna leave it at that because my throat feels super dry and I need to hydrate and get some water in me. But that was my video. I just read some pages of 8 books for you all, and I really hope that you liked this video. If you did, as always, don't forget to show it some love. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on the bell notification, and also please follow me on Instagram for more day-to-day content. And that's about it. Thanks so much for watching and supporting, and I'll see you in the next one.